Hello there, welcome back. If you're new, what we're working on is basically, well, what I'm working on and sharing with everybody through this video series is a racing game that I'm developing, and this is the introduction sequence. So I've been working on this project for about 4 to 5 years actually, developing all of the code, but I just recently actually started the game project. Previously I was selling the work on the Unity asset store. So in this introduction sequence, I could choose to go downtown or head for the coast. Just going to choose go downtown. That's the path that I'm currently working on. Once I finish creating this template scene that I'm about to show, then I'll start creating additional content. But yeah, so I've basically just loaded into the open world, and I'm going to drive to the event that she just told me about. We could see it on the mini map, and we could also see it on the player map. I'll go ahead and drive into it. I have a loading screen now, so the game doesn't look broken. To me, that was the biggest issue in the last video, even though it's a small fix. You need to not show frozen screens. So now here we are in the actual race event scene. I have the waypoint arrow that we could see at the bottom of the screen set up. I reduced the size of the rear view mirror and tried to just make the arrow not feel like it's just like hanging there or stuck in. Basically, I wanted it to not be obvious and put it someplace where the player can see it when they need to see it, but they could ignore it if they want to as well. I have waypoints showing up on the map and the mini map. We can see that the waypoints that we've reached already have turned red. The current waypoint is green, and the subsequent waypoints are yellow. So I'll go ahead and drive through. I tossed some lights on the AI card just so I could get an idea of what it looks like with some lights on it. Again, this AI card is all placeholder. That's using the default model that came with my arcade racer racing kit that I'm using. So I've been working on Unity assets for probably about 4 or 5 years or something like that, and over the last couple years, the sales have just been really going down, and I've put a ton of work and time into developing these assets. And the main goal was always to make my own game with them. But since I was already a publisher on the asset store and I had an established racing game kit, which was called Racing Game Template, I also just remade that into Arcade Racer, Racing Game Development Kit. But I've really had very poor sales, and it's hard to continue working on a project as a publisher when you're not making any money. So I decided to start working on this game. And I've been developing all of these code systems that you're seeing me implement over the last few years. Basically over the last 2 years is when I rewrote the AI system, and I just basically rewrote everything from scratch and just tried to bring up the quality level of the code a little bit. Well, actually a lot, make sure it's optimized and all of that good stuff. So there's a lot of features that I wrote for that asset store project that I'm basically just able to pull from that code base and toss them in here and get the systems up and running relatively quickly. And that's basically what you've watched me do over the last week or two. And now I'm at a pretty good point where we just watched a full game flow sequence. And now the rest of the project would be basically duplicating that scene and creating custom races and events. I need to build up the open world. I need to write a story. I need to do all of the creative stuff. So I'm pretty happy about the progress that I've made so far. I know I had a few people asking me why I'm working on this project and that it seems like I might be in over my head. But I've really been planning this, like I said, for at least 5 years. And I feel now's the right time to start it. Like I said, I wrote all of these systems, so I know all of the code. I know which methods are available. I know what basically I know how to get what I want out of the project that I developed for the asset store, and that's what I plan to do. To me, the coding part is not hard, and anything that's missing, I could code that up pretty quickly. The hard part is going to be building the world and making it seem interesting. That to me is the challenge of a game developer, and just making the player want to continue to play. So developing that fun game loop that provides that user feedback that a player would basically require to continue playing the game and want to have a reason to finish the game. That's going to be the real challenge. But as far as like functionality of the project, I feel like I've developed the start of the game. So this is basically the full prototype in a sense that is now complete at this point. It still looks horrible. I need to do a lot of UI work, and I need to, like I said, do a lot of world building and content creation. And then once all of that's done, I'm going to have to do a whole story. I'm going to need to do some audio engineering for this project. It will be a lot of work, and it's not something that's going to happen very quickly. I estimate that this project might take me about a year. So at this point, I've been working on it for a little over 2 weeks. And I've roughly put in about 40 hours each week. So maybe somewhere between like 80 and 120 hours is where I'm at so far. And it's really just kind of been, in a sense, a hackathon. I'm taking all of the different tools that I acquired from the Unity Asset Store and my own work that I've created and throwing it together into this project to see what it looks like and make sure that I can follow through to the end. Somebody commented they hope I have the strength to continue. I think that if I wasn't going to continue all the way to the end, I probably would have never made all of that asset store work, especially over this last year. I had given that upgrade for free, the complete remake, to anybody who purchased basically any of my assets. So I didn't really make money off of it. This is truly a passion project, and developing the content for the asset store, that was the hard part. And I didn't give up on that. So coding the AI systems and the racing system and providing a template to people that they can use out of the box to create their own racing games and helping them create their own racing games, I think that was the hard part. And there were many times during that process that I wanted to give up, especially when people... So when I announced that I was making a remake for the asset store work, I had people tell me that I was a crap developer because I'm not focusing on the right priorities. They didn't like the fact that I created an open world for my asset store project. And the reason was because they couldn't use it in their own game. They would be called asset flippers. And then they would go on the forum and instigate other people to basically try to get them to be upset with me. And the thing was, I gave all of these people all of my hardest work for free. And that's how they treated me. So at the end of the process, when I finished all of my asset store work, I really kind of feel jaded because the people who I was working to give them what they wanted, a lot of them were just really rude to me. And I basically got to the point where I said, I'm not making any money from the asset store work. I don't feel appreciated for the work that I'm doing for the people that buy it. And yeah, it's just time for me to actually use my own work to make my own game. And to me, this is the easy part, taking the time to be creative, to build the thing that I originally had a dream to build. So when I started this process, I had standard assets. That was it. All of what you see started from the standard assets vehicle controller, and I just built it up into the arcade racer racing game development kit. And like I said, that was the hard part. So I'm really excited to see what I'm going to end up making here. And I don't plan on quitting. Like I said, if I was going to quit, I would have quit sometime in the asset store work, especially over the last year when people were just being really rude to me. Even though I was giving them to me, that was some of the best work that I've ever created in my life, and I was giving it to them for free. But it wasn't happening fast enough, and apparently they didn't like the development logs when I was doing those. So what I do have to say is I've had much better reception that I'm creating a game compared to when I was creating content that other developers can use. Sometimes other developers can be very mean, and unfortunately that's just what I experienced, and I think it's because they wanted to basically click a button and create a game, and if they had to do any work to get to that point where they created a game, they're mad about it. So yeah, anyway, that's a little bit more of some insight as to why I'm creating this project, the background of it, and how long I've actually been working on it, because most people don't know that I spent most of my free time over the last 5 years creating content for other people to use to make racing games. And I really learned a lot through that process. So yeah, again, I'm just really looking forward to finishing this game. It's going to be a long road, and it's going to be challenging at times. And these are different muscles that I haven't used before. I haven't used my creative muscles as much as I've used my logical muscles. Like I said, programming all of this stuff, that's what I've been doing. But taking the time to be creative, that's something that's a little new to me. So we'll see what happens. Baby steps, one brick in the wall at a time. That's how a building is built. So that's enough rambling for now. Hopefully the new people who are watching, you have a little bit more insight as to why I'm building this game and what my goals are. And yeah, thanks again. I'll see you in the next video.